Hello and welcome to the last video in this section. Because we have been dealing mostly with numeric data types in Python, I figured maybe it is time for us to learn something that we can find useful. And so in this video, I want us to learn about how to generate random numbers in Python. And in case you're wondering why and when will I ever have the need to generate random numbers? Well, think of creating games, okay? You generate random numbers in some board games or anytime you need to create a game where you need to roll a die. Or we also generate random numbers a lot when we are initializing, model parameters in AI, or we generate random numbers for statistical applications, and there are several other applications where there is the need to be able to generate random numbers, especially when you are doing sampling. So I'm going to show you how to generate random numbers, and I have created the file already. It's called randomnumber.py. It is empty, and so we will just add our code to it. Okay, now we're going to learn something new in this video, and I mean indeed we are going to learn something new, because of course all older videos have taught us something new, but this is going to teach us something new about Python, in the sense that we are going to learn about how to import. Okay, before we do that, let me explain something to you. You know, each programming language comes with a set of pre-built capabilities. Otherwise, for you to be able to write any useful program in any programming language, you have to reinvent the wheel. In programming, when we say reinventing the wheel, we mean you are redoing what has been done already. And the creators and the communities behind most programming languages want to prevent that. And so they ship the language with some capabilities already built into it. An example is the ability to generate random numbers. And in Python, for you to be able to use code that you didn't write yourself, or even code that you have written yourself but is in another file, you need a concept called import. Okay, and so we are going to import a module, and over here a module is just a Python file. So operators.py is a module, integers.py is a module, floating point.py is a module. Now, some people have created a file called random.py, and they have defined or written code in it that helps you to generate random numbers, and we are going to use that, so we need to import it. Now, this random module ships with your installation of Python, so it comes pre-bundled with Python. So the moment you installed Python, you had it on your computer, you just didn't know it existed, so now you know. All right, so how do we import? Yeah, it's simple. There is a statement called, there's a keyword called import. You just say import and you give the name of the module without the .py extension. So I'll say random. So once I do this, Python is going to load the content of the file called random.py. It is not existing in our folder. It is existing somewhere on your system. Python knows how to reach it because it is shipped with Python. Okay, now we can generate a random number in many ways. The random module has a function called random. Now, because we are importing a module, when we are calling a function, we will bring the module name followed by dot and then the name of the function that we want to call. For all the other functions like print, float, int, type, id that we have used in the previous video, there was no need for us to import any module, because it is part of what is known as the standard library of the Python programming language. So anything that is part of the standard library needs no importation, but anything else you have to import. And once you import, the way you invoke a function is to bring the module name followed by dot and the name of the function. So for the random module, there is a function also called random. So to call that, we need to say random.random. And what that function does is to return a random number between 0 and 1. So I'm going to use the print statement to chain it, and call random.random a couple of times. So I'll say random.random, okay? And if you press Control, if you're on Windows, and you hover your mouse on the function, it becomes a hyperlink which you can click to see the code for that. If you are on a Mac, then you want to press the Command key, hover your mouse and click. So if I do this, you can see that it has opened a file called random.random in Visual Studio Code, even though this is not code that we have written ourselves. This is code that has been created and shipped with our Python installation, and we are going to use that. Okay, so let me repeat this a couple of times so that we expect to see different output each time we call it, so that we agree it is a random number generator. So I'll say Python 3 and I'm going to run random number.py. You can see that we printed 3 times, and each time we are seeing a different number. Remember, I said that the random.random function helps us to generate random numbers between 0 and 1. So that is why we are getting a number between 0 and 1. So 0.022, 0.069, 0.887, blah, blah, blah. These are all numbers between 0 and 1, okay? Well, if you are creating a board game, then you want to be able to control the range of random numbers that are returned. So for that, there is also a function called randint, where you are getting a random integer instead of a floating point random number between 0 and 1. So let's do print, and I will say random.randint. So this randint takes some parameters. You specify where you want the lower bound of the random number generation and the upper bound of the random number generation. So if I want random numbers between 1 and 6, this is how I specify that. So I'm going to copy this and repeat it a couple of times, okay? And then I will come and run the program again. So, well, surprisingly, we are getting 666. Let's try again. And this time around, we are getting 3, 5, and 2. We do it again, and we are getting 6, 5, and 3. So you can see that the output that you get is not repeatable. Anytime you run the program, you are getting different numbers because, of course, hey, it's supposed to be random, right? Okay, so just in case you didn't understand everything about this random number generation thing, don't worry. I did it as an appetizer to whet your appetite to know what you can do even at the level you are right now. But trust me, some videos not so far away from this will help you to understand what is actually going on here. So don't sweat it if you don't understand entirely what is going on. I promise you are going to understand it. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next section.